So we have a interesting halacha coming out in this week's parasha, and we'll use it more as a hashkafic point of view. Come closer here. We use the hashkafic point of view. And the halacha is kli gever al isha, a men's garment or a men's ornament used by a woman and vice versa. Kli gever al isha. First of all, kli gever al isha, a men's ornament and clothing used by a woman. So if you look on the surface, it looks like the halacha put limitations on the functioning of the woman. In other words, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. But if you really know what you're saying and you are willing to look at things without any kind of distorting agendas, you would see that not the halacha not only does not is not only not being fair to a woman, but on the contrary, it gives women a lot of power, a lot of authority, and a tremendous wide area to actually to define herself, to express herself, to operate, and so on and so forth. And in many cases, a much greater freedom than it gives a man. We have many people with agendas, but they're not interested in finding the truth. They're interested in promoting agendas. And that's how things look the way they look. The Gemara in Masechet Shabbat, in Daf Samech Zayin Amud Bet, says, Hu bishma vehi bishmo, yesh bo mishum darkei ha'emori. When a man is using a woman's name, and a woman uses man's name, that is something midarkei ha'emori. Darkei ha'emori, there was all this witchcraft and so on and so forth that people used to do. In other words, that's somewhat of a fragrance of idol worshipping and avodah zarah. We'll see exactly. Rashi says they're changing the names, this one to the other one. In other words, they give a man a name of a woman, and a woman gets the name of a man. I need to tell you that not necessarily means the name itself, even though it really refers to the name. It starts with a name. However, it also name in parentheses definition, duties, and so on and so forth. It starts in a very innocent way. Giving a name to a girl named Daniel. Daniel is the name of a guy, is not the name of a woman. Giving a man a name of a girl, I don't know, whatever that will be. A girlish name. So that's the name of the Emori. That's the ways of the Emori. So the question is asked, of course, what's so negative by switching names around? So instead of calling you Idan, I'm going to call you Edna. Right? Edna or Adina. What's so negative? Sam will be a little bit difficult. Shimshon, I call you Shimshonit. I don't know, Samsonite. I don't know. But, whatever. We'll call you Sarah. I mean, what's the big deal? It's nice. It's, right? That action comes to really, or gives a testimony to really on your outlook, to your hashkafa on life. The hashkafa, the way you look at things, the way your outlook is really how you're going to determine your actions throughout your life. And that's why it's very important to learn Musar all the time. This is why it's important to be among Chachamim and to learn their ways, to have proper hashkafa and not have a distorted outlook on life. Having a distorted outlook on life is the beginning of the end of your life. It's a destruction of your life. You should know that. The famous half full, half empty, blah, 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 the whole entire thing, that's your outlook at life. Needless to say about other things in life as well. So there are many ways to look at life, but the main branches of outlook in life today is, one is the koferet, the one that involves with heresy, and the other one that is a believer, hashkafa ma'amina, that your outlook at life comes from emunah, from believing God and His authority and so on and so forth. And the other one, the secular one, which is right. So the hashkafa ma'amina, the ones who believes in God, believes that there is a borei olam, there is a creator to the world that had the creation for a specific purpose and a reason, and He created man based on his destiny to be a man or a woman. The fact that I'm a man and not a woman, that's up to God. He decided that I'll be a man. So you see the whole argument of I'm a man trapped in a woman's body. I'm a woman trapped in a man's body. That's a heresy. That's not accepting God as the ruler of the world. Now, you could tell me that you wear a kippah and you put tefillin on and you keep in Shabbos and the whole entire thing. However, you like to be a transgenders, the man who wears women's clothing. Okay, that's very nice, but you're a heretic. You don't believe the God that created you one over the other. Transgender is only when the man wears the women's clothes, or the other way around?
No, transvestite is like the vestments is when you wear each color's clothing. Transgender is when you go through the process to change the sexual orientation.
Anyway, so and based on understanding that God had created me a man or He created me a woman, I understand that by doing so, I have a specific job to finish up the act of creation, to make this world into a better place, because that's what it is. In other words, if I am an IT technician, I'm installing software and wires and so on and so forth, right? That's my job. And I cannot start doing construction by putting sheetrocks and doing plumbing. That's not my job. It's a very specific job. We need to do the building. Okay, I'm going to take a course. Guys, you don't do any plumbing work. You don't do any sheetrock job. You have to wait for me. I have to take courses. Sir, we don't have time for courses. We have time. We need to finish this building in a very timely manner, to be responsible, to do the best job we can. Your job is to install the wiring for the electricity, not to be dealing with the plumbing. Please concentrate on your job. You are affecting all of us. Again, pay attention. You affect all of us. Okay? Not only you don't know what you're doing, you are creating a whole chaos in finishing this project that we're about to do. And being a partner with God in creation means that I need to fulfill the duties which was given to me by God. However, when people have a free choice, many people chose to disregard the kingdom of Hashem in the world, to become a heretic, and as Chachamim says, let din velet dayan. There's no din, there's no dayan, right? Do whatever you want, nobody's asked. And putting men as the master of the universe, rather than putting God as the master in the universe. Therefore, mankind could determine his destiny in this world and how he is going to run his business in this life. I'm not asking anybody, I do what I want. That's how I see fit, that's how I see right. As they say, when they say Ish HaYashar, right? Be'enav Yaseh, when we're talking about the desert, Ish HaYashar Be'enav Yaseh, the Torah refers to when you enter the promised land, you can't do what you're doing here in the desert. Whatever you feel like doing, you're going to be doing. No, that's a chaos. You can't build anything permanent. You can't build a society when there is no corresponding responsibility between one another. You feel like doing this, I feel like doing that. That's chaos. That's destruction. We need to understand that. It's very simple. Thinking like that, and you hear it many times, when we say Ish HaYashar, listen, Ish HaYashar, you could do, to their opinion, you could do whatever you want as long as you're not harming somebody else. So if I want to marry, let's say, Chas v'Shalom, I want to marry Shmulik, right? Am I hurting you? Don't tell me what to do. If I want to do, body piercing and body mutilation and self-expression. By the way, the whole issues of tattoos and body, it's so pathetic. And I'm going to tell you the following. Imagine you would insist, let's say in the 80s or in the 70s, you had you guys weren't born yet, but let's say the style was to wear, let's say in the 70s, to wear like bell-bottom pants and to wear all kind of funky blazers and stuff like this and zoot suits and fat ties, right? Imagine you'll be still wearing the same thing you did in the 70s, you'll be wearing today. People look at you and say, what's the matter, man? You ran from your museum or something? What's wrong with you? Right? Having tattoos is from that point of leave that Torah to decide. It's so pathetic, to do it. Because, this is cool. I'm going to make a nice butterfly here. I'm going to make a nice thing here. Now it's good. But, 10 years from now, it's going to be old stuff, old news. So don't do that, even just for the sake of that. Tattoos are people today make tattoos. They make freckle tattoos. Yeah, they make freckle tattoos. Guess what? When you want to take it out, you can't take it out. So just think about this thing, right? So that I'll do it. It doesn't hurt you. The Torah says no, you can't do tattoos. But it's not hurting anybody. It's my body. No, it's not your body. Your body is on a loan. You didn't buy it. You didn't make it. You were giving it to do something very specific with it. Therefore, you have to take care of it according to the laws that was given to you. That kind of hashkafa is hashkafa koferet. It's a outlook that is derived from heresy. Now, don't think that if you have emunah and your outlook is emunah, that hashkafa, that outlook does not take into consideration men's will or men's need to self-expression and so on and so forth. On the contrary, that hashkafa sees ratzon ha'adam, men's will, as a focal point of force, or the force that drives men to do certain things. Our job is to find a good route to it, not to deny it, but rather to better use it. But the hashkafa of the believer does deal though with the refinement of the human will, ratzon ha'enoshi, where in the hashkafa, the outlook that comes from heresy, is just the other way around. It's to make it brute, not refined, insensitive, and so on and so forth. To allow your heart to go whichever way it wants, even if it's for a glimpse of a moment, just to change it like this and so on and so forth. And since your will changes and your outlook changes any now and then, look at America. Within 40 years we became an extremely liberal country, or at least half a liberal country, which it wasn't like that, and so on and so forth. Today you're like this, tomorrow you're like that, operating through different lobby forces and so on and so forth. You've been programmed and repeated until you find yourself saying like this, so what you thought you want yesterday becomes obsolete today, and so on and so forth. You don't know anything anymore. So, Shabbat Shalom, Tודה Rabba. So when you all of a sudden calm yourself to deny your natural inclinations, it's not going to be, and you're letting others determine to you what is that you want and what is that you need and how to think. No wonder that one day you're going to come and change your name and change your essence from a man to a woman and vice versa. You're going to function as a woman and she's going to function as a man. And all of a sudden you have two women marrying, each other, and two men marrying each other. By the way, the Israeli Supreme Court says that to marry, it was an interesting ruling. It says that it ruled against, and the Israeli court is extremely left wing, ruled against same-sex marriage. It's a very fascinating thing to do. You should read into it. It's interesting. However, doing all these things and working in such a way of changing your jobs and changing your duties and changing your name and changing your roles, believe it or not, as we learned in the morning in Gemara, it's called what? Avodah Zarah. I'm working, but it's foreign labor, foreign work. It is foreign worshiping. I'm serving God in a foreign way, which is not what I'm supposed to be doing. However, one of those avodah zarah during those days was called Darkei Mori. They did all kind of crazy things. They used to take a chicken and swing it around your head and have an atonement for that, right? Darkei Mori.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar, right? And all the other things that people today like, but that's considered to be completely avodah zarah, and it simply stems from lack of emunah and lack of willingness to work and refine yourself. You don't want that. You want the desire of the flashes, and you want meat and sex and uncontrolled desires bursting from every pores in your skin. In other words, you look like a giant blackhead. It's terrible. Or zit. Threatening to burst at any given moment. Horrendous. No self-control. No refinement. I'm going to tell you something, and this kind of a thing that brought the extreme feminism in the world, and extreme feminism in the world, whatever it tells, and sexual irresponsibilities that start to come at the end of the mid '60s and on, and we suffer and so on and so forth. Should I tell you? Bill Clinton was a hippie. Okay, look what the hippies did. Became a womanizer, and women allowed this. But all this feminism and all these things. And so on and so forth that we have in modern day society, that it's ridiculous what's going on, and all the changes they will face. You see that not necessarily were good to people. It's not necessarily good to people. If we're talking about deterioration of family values and family structure, you look around. It's so interesting to me that, like black people, and I'm not saying African Americans, because African Americans, not black people, because not all black people are African Americans. But in America, the way to control those African Americans was through slavery. Today. How? When you have a master, your master takes care of you. He gives you your food, he gives you a shelter, he gives you everything you need. And you're a slave. So when they wanted to control the black people, they gave entitlement services. that make the people more dependent on the handouts of the white man and the government. How did they do that? How did they do it all of a sudden? They destroy their family structure. Yes, black people have to have equal rights like any other person, like white people, like Chinese people, like yellow people, like red people, like green people, like any other color person. People are people, and we all have equal rights, and we deserve, and we must give, and we must protect those equal rights. However, we should not and not allowed to hide malintent ideas into good ideas. And when they destroyed the black family structure, when there were patriarchs and matriarchs, and it was quite defined, and it was the grandmothers taking care of the large family and so on and so forth, it was a model of society of how a family was. If you want to know, in the 40s and in the 50s, when they talk about a model of a structural family, they were looking at the black people. Today, nothing. Everybody does whatever they feel like it. And it destroys them. You're talking about women? Women should not get paid less than men. Do you think that women get paid equal as men today? Absolutely not. In all aspects of society, whether it's in government jobs, in the private sector, and so on and so forth. You know what happened to what feminism had done? Made women to become more accessible to men. And men in return abuses that. Beforehand, if you wanted to be with a woman in an intimate way, you had to marry her. Today, nothing. Does that add any more understanding of women, any better social well-being to women? Absolutely not. On the contrary, women today are more abused than they were before. In all aspects of society, starting from presidents all the way to janitors, all taking advantage of women. I don't see, therefore, that it had improved the quality of our social lives. It did not improve our own lives. It did not improve our marital relationships. It didn't preserve the family structure. It did not enhance our national strength. We became a weak and sick society. I'm going to tell you something. Today they take all kind of monuments from the Civil War and so on and so forth, the Confederacy and so on and so forth. I think it's bad, and I'll tell you why it's bad. Because once you take those monuments out, slowly you erase the memory of what this war is all about and the slavery, and you're opening yourself to abuse all over again. It's like erasing any memory of Nazi Germany by the Germans. Do you understand? So, and why is that? And why is that? And it's because it's very simple. All these things that we have done today, we see more people who are going in this way, and they are involved more in their own selfishness, where competition, achievement is the center of your life, not the quality of your life, is how much I'm going to compete, or how much I'm going to be able to destroy you, right? I'm not talking about capitalism. I'm talking about plain competition out of selfishness, putting the individual as the center of the life rather than concentrating on your family and bringing kids. Today, more and more people don't get married. More and more people don't have kids. You want an example? Go look at Japan. They are so concentrated on work that Japanese society is declining. Cities and towns are closing because there are no kids. In 100 years, there are going to be something like 40 million less Japanese in the world. I guess there's going to be more tuna to eat if there's any tuna left by then. There's so much divorce nowadays among Jews and non-Jews alike. Everybody's divorcing. There's no need to work on anything. Let's just get divorced. People are cheating on each other left and right. Left and right. And women are stepping up to the plate, and they're almost catching up to men in cheating and being it's disgusting. It's terrible. Infidelity is horrific. You are not trustworthy. You're lazy. You're selfish because you don't want to work. So much divorce. It destroys kids. And why is that? Because my self-well-being comes ahead from my future responsibility. I'm more interested in my immediate comfort than in assuming responsibility on a individual, on a family, and on a national level. I don't care. In Judaism, caring for the weak people in society, going out of your way, contributing, giving, helping, is a noble concept. The concept of tzedakah, of charity, which in return influence Christianity, influence Islam, it all comes from Judaism. We're breaking away from that. What do I care? Let them alone. Volunteering work, giving from yourself. It's terrible. And that is, for example, we can find this whole concept of changing names and so on and so forth, as the Torah says, Lo yekli gever al isha, velo yibash gever simlat isha. Why? Ki toavat Hashem Elokecha kol esele. It's an abomination in the eyes of God when when a dude looks like a lady. It's an abomination. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Okay? It's an abomination. So, and it says, Rashi explains over there, because what happens when we do so, when we erase the boundaries of the definition, the clear definition between men and women, if you look at models today, sometimes you can't tell if it's a man or a woman. They're like androids, like I don't know what they are anymore. Right? It's like this being. Because the first thing that comes out of that, it is a abuse of this lack of boundaries for immoral sexual relationship, to znut, to prostitution, and so on and so forth. As Rashi says, Kli gever al isha, when a woman wears men's clothing, shetiyeh doma leish, so she can look like a man, shetelech ben anashim, she's going to walk around men and hang around men. She'en zu ela l'shem ni'uf. The only reason why she's doing that is to be promiscuous, to be sexually available. V'gever simlat isha, and when a man wears women's clothing, leilech leishev ben anashim, to sit down among women and so on and so forth. So beyond that danger that there is an erase of the sexes, there's a much greater effect to that. We don't know anymore what man and a woman, but there's much greater danger, which means it could bring men to live in a very dangerous way, to bring him to do things that he would never have thought that he could do in his lifetime. Today we call it experimental and self-expression, but that's horrible. And we have to we have to understand that men and women, we need to maintain this definition of a man is a man and a woman is a woman. And not to bring it to be abused, that concept to be abused. And this is not done to stop or to arrest the development of a woman or to make her not equal. That's not the reason. That's absolutely not the reason. What we need to make sure is simple what the Torah is telling us. It is the rules of tzniut, modesty, holiness, and responsibility for the sake of your family and to the sake of your nation. And this is what the Rambam writes in Halachot Ishut in Perek Tedvav Halacha Yutet on the state of a woman. V'chen tzivu chachamim. This is a commandment from the rabbis. שיהיה אדם מכבד את אשתו יותר מגופו ואוהבה כגופו. The Chachamim had commanded to men, to males, that he should respect his wife more than he respects himself, and he should love her more than he loves himself. ואם יש לו ממון מרבה בטובתה כפי הממון. And if you have money, you have to spend your money to the benefit of your wife, on her, as much as to the best of your abilities. In other words, the Rambam also tells you have to be responsible not to live above your means. And it seems like the halacha comes and put limitations on the functioning of the woman, but on the contrary, not only that, as I said to you before, it gives it a greater and wider freedom to operate and to define herself. And by doing so is, for example, the obligation of a woman. Man is more obligated to a woman than a woman is obligated to a man. A man is mechuyav in mitzvot she'azman graman, in time-bound mitzvot that gives, and that in a way dictates your daily schedule, or should I say schedule, right? Where the woman is really free to run her life whichever way she wants. Nobody's telling you what to do. We trust you. You can do whatever you want. We trust you. Men cannot operate in such freedom. Men need to know exactly what to do, or to be told exactly what to do, right? A man is obligated in Talmud Torah. You have to learn Torah. In other words, when you have to learn Torah, the Torah and Chachamim tell you also what you have to do in your free time. In your free time, what do? You learn Torah. So comes the Torah and tells you also what to do in your free time, where a woman is not obligated in Talmud Torah, and she's free to do whatever she wants when she has the time to do it. If she wants to learn Torah in it, she can learn whatever she was allowed to learn. But she does not have to learn Torah. You have to learn Torah. So here is more restriction so far, men over women. That's right. When a man, let's say for example, reaches the age of, let's say 18, Aidan, don't jump and don't get so thrilled about it. But the halakha tells us when you reach the age of 18, right, you in a way obligated to marry the woman. In other words, you need to bound yourself and to tie yourself to making a family and to be mefarnes the family. You have to provide for the family. You have to have a family. You have to provide for it. We're going to keep you busy here, Chachamim tells us, where the woman is exempt from that. Woman is free on her own to do as she wishes, and she does not have an obligation to marry, and she does not have an obligation to have kids. Does not have this obligation. That she wants, it's fine, but she's not obligated. You are obligated. And even after they were married, a woman is not obligated to work and to be mefarnes a husband. On the contrary, the husband has to bring the parnasah, has to bring the bread home. And if she, for example, she could tell she could claim if she makes much more money than her husband, she can say to her husband, "Eineni nizonet ve'eineni usai." It says in Ketubot in Daf Nun Chet Amud Bet. A woman can say, you don't have to be mefarnes me, I can do so on my own. And in return, she does not have to give the money to her husband. I'll be mefarnes myself. She can keep all the money. And as you can see, there's many more times and scenarios and understanding, and a man is obligated, for example, to understand his woman's psyche, to be with her, to embrace her, to caress her, and so on. A woman does not have to do all these things. A man has to provide his wife with a shelter and clothing and food. A woman does not have to do that. So therefore, and a man has to be with his wife when she wants, of course, under certain circumstances. You know, it's an obligation that we have to take into account. So, you see, that is the situation. So what happened to the outlook that we said that women are oppressed by the halacha and the rabbi and so on and so forth? You simply had the wrong outlook. You look at things wrong. And the reason why you look at things wrong most of the time is because you are ignorant. If you would learn and you understand, you'll do it, not a problem. But you don't want to do it because you don't want to learn, because you're lazy, because ultimately you don't want to acknowledge the fact that there is a God, and therefore you're obligated to His ways. And all this halachot here is, again, not to restrict you, but also to create a proper functioning working environment to develop ourselves and the world. So when you are busy going and doing whatever you want, you're actually destroying yourself and you're arresting your development and then not enjoying life. What you might call it in life enjoyment and having fun is actually one big catastrophe. Okay? Reading this parasha, reading last week's parasha, reading next week's parasha, if you only bother to look at it with the proper eyes, examining it as it is, not through your distorting glasses, you will find an unbelievable depth and beauty that the halacha and the Torah gives us. And you'll see how far have we been drifted, even as frum people, from what the Torah had intended us to do. That there will be rabbis today that, because of, I don't know, some unresolved agendas they have, they will be willing to twist the halacha and twist the Torah and so on and so forth. That does not live life. You'll see the case of conservative and reformed Jews. When they start changing it, ultimately it's a death sentence. If you stick to the halacha and you learn it and you understand it, and do you make that and God the focal point of your life, that will give you life in return. And the only thriving communities in the United States are the Orthodox communities. And that is a big observation, a big lesson in observation that you could see, whether you like to acknowledge it or not. So don't ever think twice, or don't think that you are missing out or losing out, whether you're a man or a woman. On the contrary, if you do think so, you know that it's time to learn and it's time to do the right thing. So be happy with who you are, understanding your role, understand your responsibility, assume your responsibility, and with that, I bid you peace. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.